And then I learned something else on our Monday jump off meetings that we have in common. We both grew up dirt roads.
Oh, is that right?
Where was your dirt road?
Santa Cruz Mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, between Watsonville and Gilroy. So
okay.
Mount Madonna Park is like the closest, like what's where the pave ends.
Yeah. So I had a listing that expired, unfortunately. Good friend of mine family wanted to sell land up there in Corralitos.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I had a listing. It was just 20 acres of land.
Yeah.
And it's just they wanted a price that wasn't fetching at the time.
Yeah, I think it's very challenging to get the prices that I think people want in the mountains right now. Just because, I mean, the number of people that are willing to live even if it's paved all the way, but the windy roads and all that, it deters the vast majority of possible buyers. Yeah. And then you add into that we've had the wild increases in insurance costs because of wildfires.
Yep.
It's the desirability's gone down significantly, and I think the people that live there aren't afraid of that, so it doesn't register to them that other people are they're not down for it.
Yeah.
I had a listing that expired. Well, we ended up canceling before it expired. It was on the market for like about 7 months. In 2020, I sold it, and it wasn't easy, but it wasn't that hard. Right. And I sold it for like 1.4, and then the people that purchased it, like everybody else in 2020, was trying to get away from civilization, because it was like that was the desire at the time, was to be away from civilization.
Yep.
And they tried to put it back on the market, and I didn't represent them when they bought it. I actually represented the seller, but they liked the way that I worked so much that they hired me to sell it for them 4 years later. And even the price that they paid for it 4 years before that, even lower than that, we couldn't get. And it was just there would be in a given month, there'd be 10 or 15 showings. Okay. Many of which I would drive all the way up there to actually show it, whether they had an agent or not, so that I could give them all the nuances of the property and really try to help them understand it. And like everybody would drive all the way up there and then be like, this is such a view of the ocean and like such a gorgeous place, and it's so peaceful. And they're like, but the drive.
Yeah. And so, but to this, but to that. Yeah. Well, Rusty, I appreciate everything you do, man. I shout out, I sent you a message the other day thanking you for the work that you do here at Intero to mentor and connect young agents, or even middle-aged agents like me, right? To mentors, to mentors in the game. And for the first time in my life, I always had mentor teachers or mentor coaches. Yeah. But when I graduated business school and I went into like insurance, right? Health and life. And I didn't have a mentor. I had somebody like train me, right? But he wasn't, hey, here's how the transactions go. Here's what I do on a daily basis, right along with me. And I really think that's where Intero just knocks it out of the park in terms of their education and then like boots on the ground partnerships as you start with Intero. So can you tell me a little bit about how you got started with that, and because I know you were there in the inception of that, kind of building that, and so tell me more, man.
Well, I mean, I think it starts first with the culture of Intero, right? Which has nothing to do with me. I mean, Intero was 8 or 9 years old already when I joined Intero. I started in the exact opposite environment, which was literally the first real estate office I actually was a part of was in the garage of a house in South San Jose.
Oh man.
So my upbringing in the business was really more like kind of just watching, observing, and doing, and making mistakes, and learning how to fix those mistakes, and then learning how to avoid those mistakes.
Right.
But culturally here at Intero, I mean, all the way from its inception, right, when Gino and the founders of this company actually put it all together, having quality agents that know what they're doing and are well educated and well trained and also of good heart, meaning willing to give back to other agents, was literally worked into the fabric. I like to say it's almost like a religion. Okay. If you compare like every religion in the world to the way that really great companies are built, they have these similarities. It's like there's the origin story, there's the symbols, there's even the common enemy. There's all these things, right? Man. And Intero was built, I don't think on purpose necessarily, by that framework, but it was built on that framework. And so one of the tenets was really, good agents helping not only their clients but helping other agents.
Right.
And really, Get Build Do is just a new sort of section or arm of that. It's not new in general, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right.
And so
it's like a rebranding of the education system within Intero.
Right. And I don't think I came to Intero with that in mind. I came to Intero because I was, I was frustrated. So I came to Intero because I wanted to just see what bigger companies did.
Right.
And so I learned a lot. And one of the things I found here and just in my own life and in business is that, it's really important to me to give to other people, whether that's the knowledge that I've fortunately been able to acquire, whether that's helping people, financially helping people get through tough times, whatever that is. It's like, it's really important to me. And I feel like if I do the best job I can at that, then God will take care of me.
There you go.
Right. And so that's kind of the original thought on my part. And then Patrick, who's the manager of our office, has a similar mindset. Jordan, who's one of the managers of our office, has a similar mindset. And about 3 years ago, we just got together and started talking about how we can make just our Willow Glen office better by using that philosophy. And Get Build Do was born out of that. And I just wanted it to be a thing where mentors were held accountable to mentoring, as opposed to you walk into an office and every office has training, and every office has a mentorship program. But generally speaking, most offices, the way that it works is training is basically you're trained by somebody who sold houses 30 or 40 years ago, or you're trained by somebody who doesn't sell houses and never has, it just knows the words.
Okay.
Right? That's number one. So that I thought we have to have training that really lays out what an agent needs to do from get business to building a business to doing a business. And what that means is acquiring clients, having an even business where it's not up and down and up and down. And then on the do part is like, how do you actually write contracts and that sort of stuff? Then from there, the other part was the mentorship, and I don't know if you interviewed with anybody else.
I did,
but, okay. Well, tell me about that real quick.
Yeah, man. So it was a great process, right? I come in as a teacher, right? So I'm good at asking questions. I really think I can read people, and so it's basically I was in 3 people because I had no idea. Like the person that recruited me, Diane Wyant, was actually your mentee. So she's like, "Hey, you got to go interview with Intero." So I interviewed with Patrick, got connected, and say, "Hey, next step is after all the forms, after this, after that, you got to talk and sit down with three mentors." So the first person I met with was Craig Gorman. And Craig, I busy dad schedule, ending the school year. He met me at 9:30 at his office over when we were at Almaden. And anyway, so we just got to talking, and everybody that I met with, next I met with Elliot Beha, and he dropped, again, they're all giving me stuff, not expecting to be my mentor, right? And then finally I get a hold of Steve, because he's a busy dad like me, right? So we missed each other a couple of times, got to talking to him and found out that he goes way back with my wife's cousin. And so it was a very, very natural, wow, okay, Alex, and you grew up a block away from my wife. It was kind of very much perfect for starting that partnership. And going back to the other 2 that I met with, they had as much or more knowledge, but it was that being able to talk to everybody that's doing, like you mentioned, doing the business, right? And so that was just amazing, to be able to talk with everybody and figure out, hey, well, who's going to vibe with me the best? Who's going to meet my needs as a realtor, right? Because, it's not selfish, but it is hey, you got to find out who's going to be able to do it for you in that time and space. So that was great, man.
Yeah, so I think you kind of touched on the intent of it all, which was basically, one is that the mentors would have a wealth of knowledge. You named 3 people, and that adds up probably to 100 years of experience. And then on top of that, you got to choose who the mentor that you were going to actually work with was, and I think that's one of the main differences is we don't say, hey, look, welcome to the office. When you find a deal, call this guy and he'll help you do the deal. What happens is they're like, hey, this is the guy that you're going to work with. And then basically you're like, hey, my grandma wants to sell her house. And they're like, cool. So then they go sell your grandma's house and you just watch and learn. Right? We don't want it to work that way. We want you involved. We want you to pick the person based on interviewing and vibe and all that things that will make you more successful. And then the other part of it is that we don't just say, hey, look, call them when you have a deal, right? It's like they have to meet with you on a weekly basis. Right. And they're held accountable to that, and you're held accountable to that. And honestly, if you as a mentee are like, missing appointments or showing up late or whatever, it's like on to the next.
Exactly.
And our intent is really to make sure that we're not just churning agents through so that Intero or whatever big company can just get your grandma's house and your aunt's house, and then you're out of the business, and then we move on to the next person and get there. It's more about like, hey, look, if there's a 86 or 87% attrition rate in real estate, let's see if we can do better than that. Right? Let's have people actually be successful as opposed to just basically stealing a transaction or two.
Right. So, well, Rusty, thank you for your time this morning. I know we're both busy. We got to go to work.
Yes, sir.
So, appreciate it. Thanks,
my pleasure, man.